Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Positive Deposit Podcast, where we are transforming minds to change lives. I am your host, Presley Nelson Jr., two-time cancer survivor of large B-cell lymphoma and classic Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 4. Today, we have a great guest, and I'm smiling so much right now because we actually played against each other. Back probably like 4 years ago as Hardwood Heroes. I have Ryan Fuson with me tonight, and I'm just so excited about the conversation we're about to have. Ryan, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for that introduction. I'm happy to do this. I'm excited to be here. I'm a 11-year survivor of non-seminoma testicular cancer. Happy to talk about that tonight and talk about my journey.
Awesome. And so let's get right into it. So when were you diagnosed, and what year are we at when that happened?
Yeah, I was diagnosed in September of 2009.
Oh, September 2009. Okay. Now, how did you find out about your diagnosis?
Sure. Yeah. When I was growing up, I got a Men's Health magazine. I used to have a subscription to that when I was, 17, 18.
Was it Men's Health magazine like really cool?
Back in the day it was, yeah. I don't know what it's like now, but sure. Back then.
It's on a milk carton now. That's
probably so. Probably a digital website or something nowadays.
Right.
So anyways, I read an article in there about self-checks, just like women do for their breasts, but self-checking your testicles for lumps.
Okay.
And I was a bit of a hypochondriac growing up. And so, right away, I started doing those monthly checks. And as the years went on, kind of, I don't know how you are with flossing, but with me with flossing, it kind of gets like I ebb and flow, like with my dentist appointments.
Right.
Flossing tends to get more intense before the dentist.
Don't you hate when you go to the dentist and the dentist always says, you need to floss a little bit more, and you know deep inside you're like, yeah, you're right, but I'm gonna do better next time.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. So anyways, I hadn't done a self-check for a while, and I had the thought to do a check while I was getting in the shower one day, and did my check and felt a lump, and everything kind of cascaded from there.
So Ryan, what goes into a check? Like, so for us men who are just kind of just going through our day to day and not really worrying about it, what is it all involved in doing a check?
Sure. Yeah. Typically, I guess they recommend you're in the shower because there's things are looser and everything, and you just you take your testicle through your fingers and just kind of roll over just to make sure it's smooth and not like hard like a rock. So yeah. If you feel something that's harder like a rock, or bigger in size, or you've got a lump on there, that's an indication that you got to get something checked out. So
one day you were doing your check and you got a lump. Do you immediately go to the hospital? What happened?
No. So right away, my first thoughts are denial, right? Like, no. I check it again just to make sure it's still there.
Right.
After the kind of the denial wears off, I started to look for doctors, right, to get checked out. It could be something else.
Right.
Could be anything. Right. So as immediately as I think that next day at work, I was trying to, find a doctor that I could get into pretty quickly.
Right. So once you found a doctor, did he just immediately tell you? I mean, did he do another check? Like, how does this all go down in the doctor's office?
Sure. Yeah. So get to the doctor's office. He goes in, he does another check. The first thing he does after he's done with the check is well, it might be an infection. So let me give you some antibiotics and we'll take care of it. But while we're doing that, I need you to get an ultrasound, and you can just go downstairs. We'll get you right in line, or get you in right away. I'm thinking, well, okay, this might be something more serious if I'm, getting ahead of people for the ultrasounds, because typically you got to schedule those in advance.
Right.
So I got into the ultrasound and had the most awkward ultrasound I've ever had in my life.
I can only imagine. I mean, I'm not laughing at you, man, but I could just imagine that. I had to get an ultrasound on my liver, but just somebody just holding and putting in the gel and just
Yeah.
ah.
It's not it's not a pleasant experience, but you got to find some humor in it, right? So got the
Violated, trying to
ultrasound.
get better.
Yeah. Got the ultrasound. From that point in time, they wouldn't really let me leave the office. They also took some blood as
Okay.
well, which is important because it can show elevated tumor markers in there that
Right.
they look for testicular cancer.
Yeah.
So get all that done, get back to the doctor's office, and they wouldn't let me leave. They're like, no, you need to stay here. Just stay here and let's wait for the results.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I was supposed to go back to work, and I had to call work. I'm like, hey, I'm not, I'm still at the doctor's office. I'll be back when I can.
Right.
It's probably 2-3 hours later, everything comes together. They call me back in, and the doctor, well, let me back to it. I'm on the phone with my wife at the time. She called and was wondering where I was at, and she kind of came in with the kids, and it was kind of almost like a family experience that we went in there, and the doctor, told me that I had cancer. With my two oldest were in school. My youngest was 9 months old, so she was there.
What was that? The first emotion, the first reaction when you were told that you have testicular cancer?
Yeah, well, my first reaction was that I'm going to beat this.
Oh, you already came in the mindset. Oh, hey, it's about to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an athlete growing up.
Okay.
I'm a fairly competitive person, and as soon as I heard that, my thoughts went away. Like, okay, I'm not going to die. I'm going to beat this. And I just don't know how yet, but I'm going to do it.
Oh man, you're one of a kind. Because I'll tell you, when I found out, I was scared. I was crying. I was shook just because I was like, the why me? That mentality was embedded in my head until I had to really like get myself back together. And so it's good that being athletic, and I'm sure you play basketball. Was there any other sports that you played?
I played football and baseball and stuff growing up.
So you're a jack of all trades. Okay. All right. And so now that you already have the mindset that, hey, I'm going to go beat this and things of that nature, what was your treatment plan like?
Sure. So the chemotherapy, I don't remember the drugs anymore, but the plan was 4 cycles over 4 months,
Okay.
which is basically, 2 weeks on. It ended up being 4 months. It's supposed to be a little bit shorter, but 2 weeks on, a week off, 2 weeks on, a week off, etc. But I had to get some extension in there because I don't know if you've experienced this, but if your blood counts get too low, they don't want to push you through another round of chemo.
I hated that because I'm like, I'm ready to go. Nah, you got to wait, Mr. Nelson. You got to come back. And so it does extend it. So I definitely understand. Now, you had to get, when I was reading, your article and just like I saw the presentation, you had to not only get an aggressive chemotherapy, but there were some side effects with that. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, sure. So I've had quite a few side effects. I call myself the human medicine cabinet for a while there. I had, obviously I lost my hair, which a lot of people do. I had mouth sores pretty bad where it felt like, knives were jamming into your mouth every time you're trying to eat. Had acid reflux really bad. And then just overall fatigue. I lost 50 pounds.
Whoa, wait. You lost 50 pounds?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, how much did you weigh before you lost the 50 pounds? Maybe it won't be that bad.
Yeah, so I mean, I was 220-ish.
Okay.
I could have lost a little bit, but I didn't need to be, 170 when I was done. So
now, was that 170 like now you got abs, you cut and things of that nature, or it was okay?
No. I looked like a ghoul.
Well, I mean, that's not funny, but I mean, I'm sure like it was a shocker. My second time I lost 45 pounds.
Yeah, so you know how it goes, huh?
Yeah, and that was scary. So I can only imagine. And so how long did you have? You did the 4 months of treatment. Did you have to do radiation? What other?
I would say just straight chemo. So this intravenous chemo drugs is what I had to do.
So you did chemo. Now most people that have testicular cancer, they usually have to go through surgery. Did you have to go through surgery as well?
Oh yes, yeah, I did. Yeah, I had my testicle had to be removed for sure. I had an ultrasound done just to make sure that the cancer hadn't metastasized anywhere else in my body, which
Yeah.
luckily it hadn't.
Right.
But
Right.
it had spread in my blood, so that's why I needed the chemo, and as opposed to just surgery.
Why did you have to get the surgery? Did the cancer just spread too much where like that one testicle just was done for, or like why do people have to get surgery?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it can still spread, right? I mean,
Right.
that's an active tumor in there, and if you know, I guess it's not easy to remove a tumor from a testicle. I mean, my testicle had swollen in
Yeah.
between the time I found the tumor and between the time I actually had surgery. It almost probably doubled in size, so
Dang.
it was growing pretty quickly.
Wow. Now that you only have one testicle, did you feel like your manhood was taken away?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, it's more of a joke I tell. I'm half the man I used to be, but I'm a better man now because of what I've gone through.
I like that. That's real catchy, real suave with it. Like, wait, I'm half the man I am, but I'm better now. So
That's
stick
right.
with the program.
That's right.
That's awesome. And so you went through this, and so what was the time span that you went through? Just the treatment and then the surgery.
Yeah. So it was late September, and I got done, I think, right before my youngest birthday, which was uh, like December 18th, around that time. So, what was, yeah, September, October, November. Yeah. September, October, November, December. So about 4 months there.
Wow. So I'm gonna switch gears and so to where we met. And how did you learn about the Hardwood Heroes? Like, how did you hear about the program and things of that nature?
Yeah, actually, my boss at work, his mom worked in the young adult cancer survivor support group at MD Anderson,
Yeah.
and she was given the casting call or something. I don't know if you got a casting call, but I forget the name of the New York agency that was looking for people. She sent it to him as like, "Hey, do you know anybody who would be willing to do this?"
Yeah.
And my boss knew that obviously I was a cancer survivor, and I had played basketball growing up, so he shot it over to me, and kind of just went from there.
How did you like that experience?
I mean, I think it was obviously it's a once in a lifetime experience, right? I
Yeah.
mean, get to play in the Final Four floor, met
Crazy.
great people like yourself,
Yeah.
this kind of instantaneous family, how we just kind of all gelled together. And I think that was maybe the greatest Final Four ever, right? Or at least championship game.
Oh yeah. That Villanova win was crazy. It
Yeah,
was
crazy
crazy.
stuff. And just all the events around it. And even going to Nashville afterwards, right?
That
For
was
the tech
amazing.
presentation and all that kind of stuff. Did you make that trip?
I did. So I
Yeah, I
was
thought
there
you did.
too. And I just remember that one walking into that room, right? You walk into the room, you see all these people because my friend actually was in Texas and she found out about it and she was part of my business, right? And so she told me, well, I know they're doing a casting call in Texas, but just try it out. And
Right.
so I did it and I was like, man, I hope I get in because I'm a big like March Madness junkie. And when I got the call, I was like, yes. And so it was actually, to your point, one of the best final games. Like, to every bit of it, it was amazing. And I'm glad that I was able to meet you and all the rest of the team. And I'm glad that we still keep in contact and still support each other just right here. And so what is life like after your treatment and just surviving testicular cancer? Like, what how did that change your aspect of outlook on life? Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I always was a positive person, anyways. I always tried to be. Again, I think it just growing up is, life throws you challenges. I think I became even more grateful for small things. And one thing we haven't talked about is, for me, the treatment was only half the battle. I was mentally prepared, I guess, for that, and I thought as soon as the treatment was done, a week or two later, bam, I'm going to be back. I'm going to be 100%,
Right.
going to go and live in life like normal. But that was not the case for me because I ended up with neuropathy, chemotherapy-induced neuropathy. And what that really feels like is it feels like if you've ever hit your funny bone before and you get that numbing, burning, tingling sensation kind of into your, through your elbow all the way through your hands.
Right.
I had that mainly more so in my feet, but also into my hands, where I couldn't do anything. And I was very fatigued as well. So I could stand for not very long at all. If I went to the store, I could probably walk maybe 15, 20 minutes before the pain was just too much and I had to sit down. I even had a handicap sticker. So that's how crazy it was. And for someone being athletic like I was growing up, it was, I didn't know if I'd ever run again. I didn't know if I'd ever work out again or do anything. So that, to me, that was very challenging.
Were you depressed at that time? Did you have any, signs of depression during that?
I don't know if I was depressed. I always just tried to be positive about it. I was like, if I said if this is what my life is going to be like, if 70% is better than being dead. Yeah. So I'll just make any adjustment I need to make to keep living. And at the same time, I'm trying to find ways to get better, right? I'm visiting this doctor and that doctor and this doctor, and nobody can really help me until I went to see a naturopathic doctor and had a blood test done and found out that I was intolerant to fruit.
Whoa.
Which when you're intolerant to something, it builds up toxicity in your body.
Yeah. And
once I found that out, I eliminated fruit from my diet and started some supplementation, and I started getting better.
Oh, wow.
To the point you talked about Hardwood Heroes, if that game is held even a year or two earlier, I wouldn't have been able to play because I wouldn't have been able to run or jump or do anything. So it's just a great blessing for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, man, that's crazy because it makes me think about, so the second time that I was diagnosed and I went through this 12 rounds of chemo, which is always annoying. The chemo is just annoying. Sitting in a chair for like 4 hours and just watching it drip, 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 or you fall asleep. I had, there was a lot of neuropathy in my feet, and it was starting in my fingers and my hand. But it was really bad on my feet, and to the point where it would cramp up, like the nerves would cramp up. And I did I was timbering, and it wasn't embarrassing, but it sucked because that happened to me while I was at work. So this is post treatment, and I just didn't know when it was going to be over. And they say like it just takes it takes time. It just all depends because it didn't happen that way the first time. And so I know how it feels, to be, I wouldn't say crippled, but I should have asked for a disability sticker. I actually should have inquired about that. But, that's sometimes that's a side effect of chemotherapy. And a lot of times people don't realize that, and for everybody it's different. And so I'm glad that you were able to, heal so you can play, because you were a beast. I'm not in front. You have the height, but you were scoring buckets, and I'm glad I didn't have to guard you because I probably would have been very embarrassed to guard you.
I appreciate that. You weren't too bad yourself.
I was all right. I had about 6 points, I believe.
Yeah.
I had about 6 points. And so now, what do you do now? Where are you working? I mean, and because I saw that you did the workshop, right? Do you do those often? I know that was probably a big stage and a big honor to be selected to do that.
Yeah, so I work for a French multinational company now, and we have business resource groups for our various employee groups. We have one for African Americans, we've got one for women, we've got one for Asian Americans, and etc.
We got something like that at Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Team member networks with depending on like the different areas of interest. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the one that's called Alwyn, which is our women's organization, was the one that I worked with to kind of put the workshop together.
Right.
And it was for a National Cancer Survivor Day. Ever since going through what I've been through, I feel like I found a purpose in my life.
Okay.
And one of that purpose is to impact people for good, no matter what it's in, whether it's coaching sports, whether it's being a good boss, or, in church or whatever. I just want to touch people for good. And this event was kind of, part of, I guess, that purpose or mission that I feel in my life is I just wanted to give something back. So we covered, cancer prevention, we covered, nutrition, we covered caregiving, because I think caregivers are often kind of the forgotten heroes of this, and other things, just to bring awareness to people and have that, I guess, on their mind for National Cancer Survivor Day.
You just mentioned something, and I don't think we touched on it, but how good was your support system, and how important was it to have a strong support system?
Yeah, so I think our support system was amazingly well, given the fact that I was diagnosed with cancer 3 months after moving to Houston, and we didn't have any family here or anything. It was just us moving here for work, and so we didn't know anybody really outside of our church family, and our church family really stepped up, and it was to this day very, very amazing what they did.
God is good. Definitely. See, God is dependable.
Yes, he is. Right. Amen, brother. But yeah, I mean, anything from like mowing my lawn to bringing meals in to taking care of my kids to taking me to appointments, all those kind of things was amazing. My ex-wife, she did a lot to take care of me and the kids during the time. So that's I had a pretty good support system, given that we were here by ourselves, and obviously we had some family fly in during this time as well to help. But it was good, very humbling.
And that's amazing to have like your church family, take these things off your plate, especially the things that you probably are kind of so in routine and doing. It's always good to have a good support system, and that was the blessing. You guys come to a space where you don't have any family and things of that nature, and the church stepped in, and I'm sure that grew your faith during that process.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's not an accident that I just happened to be in Houston when I got diagnosed with cancer, right? If you're going to get diagnosed with cancer, Houston, one of the top places in the world to be, right? I mean, all the MD Anderson and all the great other hospitals that are here that are just great at treating cancer and getting people healthy.
That's amazing. So let's talk about Houston. What's your five, maybe your top spots for Houston, as far, because I heard Texas got good barbecue, but like where are the spots? For
barbecue, you got to hit Killins. It's down in I guess south of Houston. But a lot of the good barbecues in Austin as well.
Okay.
There's I can't think of the name right now. Lilling Market is great. There's what else? You got to hit some burger joints, like the Hubcap Grill is great. My favorite burger joint just closed, unfortunately, during the pandemic, but they were Bernie's Burger Bus.
What spot was that? What spot was that?
It was Bernie's Burger Bus.
Okay.
Started as a food truck, and then branched into, I think, 3 or 4 restaurants, and it just didn't survive the pandemic eventually.
It's unfortunate because, a lot of, businesses are, pushing through as best as they can, but, they may come back. You never know. Hopefully.
Crossing fingers.
Hey, or you can start the franchise and see, then, that's another story.
That's right.
You help them survive.
That's right. I like the way you think.
Hey, you got to think forward. So Ryan, I know that we have another hardwood hero that you partner up with, Dominic, and then you do work with him. How has that been to give back in a different way through his organization, Tackles for Cancer?
Yeah, Dominic. Yeah, he's got that Tackles for Cancer organization that really focuses on helping people get to their cancer treatments. Because I guess what he had identified is there was a need in that area where people sometimes will miss their appointments because they have no way to get to their appointment.
Oh, so wow.
His charity really focuses on that, which I think is a great underserved market. So just the ability, I think I've helped him with a gala that he put together here in Houston a couple of years ago, and he's done I think a 5K or something. I helped out with that. And it's just great to
Nice.
see people come out and being touched and being helped.
That's amazing, man. And I'm glad that you are getting back into the community, because we as cancer survivors, we don't have to, have that turtle shell mentality, right? Like, we beat it, we don't want to talk about it. We're like, keep it moving. What cancer, who? But this is why it's so important that, survivors like me and you are sharing our journey, sharing our stories, because it's truly an inspiration, not just hearing your journey, but also too, just making sure that we make sure that, that cancer is not a never ending nightmare, and actually there's always good that comes out of it. And so that's why we met, and now we're here. And so I always ask every guest on the show, what are at least 3 positive deposits. Now, positive deposits, what I mean is like 3 either words, 3 either strategies, or 3 things that they can take on while they're either going through it. They may find out somebody is having it, or just want to support.
Yeah. So I think the first thing for me is perspective. Try to have a positive perspective, because it's going to be a hard battle. And I think everybody hits a low point at some point in time. And I hit a low point. There was a point in time when I had mouth sores really bad.
Yeah.
And I couldn't eat anything. I was trying to eat, I think it was cream of wheat, and it was just, I couldn't eat it. And I was like, well, maybe if I go to Wendy's and I get a Frosty, I can I'll get a Frosty, and it will cool the mouth sore so I can eat.
Yeah.
So I drove, and Wendy's was like a 20-minute drive, like the only Wendy's I knew of to get a Frosty. So I drove out there, got the Frosty, and the cold killed, and I couldn't eat it. I was just starving. I was so hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm a man of faith, and I just remember thinking of the Savior's atonement, and thinking, I know that you've suffered for me, and I know that you can give me strength. I really asked, and you said you had your why me moment. This is kind of my why me moment. Like, why am I suffering this if you've already suffered it? And I realized that at that moment that I needed to suffer so I could help others when I got through this, so I could know what it felt like to be able to be compassionate to others and to serve others. And I also realized that although I thought he wasn't there, he was there. He was right beside me. And I'm sure it took, everything an ounce of courage or anything just to not take it from me, but to let me go through and do that. And I think that the perspective of knowing that the Savior's there. Another thing that gives me perspective as well is, I'm a not, I wouldn't say perfectionist, but a high achiever. I like to excel. I like to do good things, and I'm hard on myself.
Set the bar high. And
yeah.
Keep going and keep going.
Yeah. And when I fall short, I get pretty hard on myself. And that was especially true in athletics growing up.
Yeah.
And after one particular basketball game, I think I may have been in the 8th or 9th grade, I didn't play it to my expectations, and I was really down. And my dad came down and he gave me a pep talk later when we got home that evening. And he said one thing that's always stuck with me. I don't remember the whole conversation, but he said, there's always someone worse off than you. And I think that's true for most people, right? Obviously, there's somebody that's not true for, but for most of us, I think that statement is true. And it really just helps you realize that, okay, no matter how bad things are, we can find a positive in this. We can be grateful for something. We can keep moving forward. So I think perception is key.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Let's see.
You got one more? I got perspective. Okay, yeah. I got perception. You got another piece?
I can give you more. I think also to remember as you're going through something like this, we're comprised of our mental selves, our physical selves, and our spiritual selves. All 3 of those, I think, work in harmony.
Yeah. Together.
And if you're unhealthy in one area, you're going to be unhealthy in all of them.
Right.
I think as you're going through this, if you're someone of faith, really rely on that faith. from the mental health aspect, I didn't have as much, I think, mental health aspect during it, but afterwards I had, like cancer anxiety and things like that. Every new pain I had is like, oh no, is that a tumor, or
Man,
you know what I
tell
mean?
me about it. Sheesh. I still have some. I'll be like, hold up, I need to go to the doctor right now.
Yeah, right.
And then it's like nothing. So
Right. So I think just remembering to take care of all three parts of ourselves, make sure we're eating right, and um, I think that's key.
awesome.
And
Awesome.
I guess my third one would be to serve others, and that's hard. I would say serve others, but allow yourself to be served when needed.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. I like that one.
Yeah, because I think most people want to help. Generally, want to help people when they see someone in need, regardless of national origin, sex, color, whatever. People naturally want to help.
Yeah.
And that's great. And if you can do that and serve others, lose yourself, that's going to help you. But when the time comes for you to be served, allow yourself to be served and be okay with it. And for me, that's hard. I'm sure that's probably hard for most people.
Yeah, man.
But there's true blessings in allowing other people to serve you too, because it gives them the opportunity to serve somebody and also touches their life.
Man, that was amazing. And so I just want to thank you, Ryan, man. Thank you for coming on to the Positive Deposit podcast, man. I loved hearing your journey. Your Positive Deposit was very deep. It's very inspiring. I'm gonna take some of those, so don't be mad at me.
No worries.
How can we follow you? How can we, if anybody wanted to reach out, just for a prayer or just for some words of encouragement? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? How can folks reach you?
Yeah, I'm not very active on social media, but I do have a Medium account there where you can find some of the articles I wrote. I think it's ryan.j.fuson at Medium, I think is what it's at.
Okay.
But that's the main way to reach me.
Well, you heard it right there. Go to Medium. He actually has some great articles on there. If you want to hear more stories like Ryan's, please go to our podcast channel on YouTube. We have our YouTube channel. We also have our streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And so there you have it. You have met Ryan Fuson, and he has definitely transformed minds and changed lives. And so also, before I forget, go to our website to hear about his journey and others, www.positivedeposits.org. And also make sure you hit that donate button, because without you guys, this cannot be possible.